Hi, good afternoon. The snow has stopped, so you should be able to see quite clearly now. I am going to be making breakfast sausage here. I'm going to show you how to make it. I have 3 pounds of ground pork here. Now, the original recipe reads pork butt with pork fat back. When I went to the butcher, he sat there and said, we've already got the fat in it, so you don't even have to worry about that. So that part we don't have to do. So if you have a good butcher, you can get away with it. If you can't, you have to do it yourself. You need 1.5 pounds of pork butt and 8 ounces of pork fat back, now trimmed of the rind. But I'm going to be doubling this recipe because I could sit there and I could freeze it up, which is a good idea. So here is my 3 pounds of pork ground. It's already got the fat and everything in it, so I don't have to worry about that. Sandra, you forgot something. Yeah, well, that's typical of me, isn't it? And we'll see how this goes. I've made this, and it's really nice. So this is everything that you put in a breakfast sausage that you buy. So I'll turn you down so you can see. Good afternoon, and then see. Okay, the first thing we're going to have to do is, because I am going to 1.5 this, I'm going to be adding more than I have to. For the salt, I am going to need 3 teaspoons of salt. Okay, all of this is going to be mixed up together. Let me just tear it up right here so I can go ahead and do it. Yeah, I'm going to make a mess. Okay, so 3 teaspoons. Now, I make mine a little stronger than what they say when it comes to some seasonings. So understand that. All right. And with that, we have to add 3 teaspoons of ground black pepper. So remember, this is 3 pounds of pork we're dealing with. I want you to remember this ratio is for 3 pounds of ground pork. So I've got to grind up a tablespoon of black peppercorns, which will be interesting. Hi, Shane. Well, we had to wait for the storm. I was out there shoveling. I was tired. And I said, well, I've got the pork, you're defrosting it, so you might as well sit there and go ahead and get this done. Come on, Peppers, you gotta stay in here. See, we used to go to the butcher, and my mother would just sit there. Good afternoon, Shane. I said, and hello. My mother used to buy the ground pork, and we had to season it up. It didn't come in casings and stuff. We just bought the ground pork and had to do this ourselves. And that's what I'm doing now, grinding up a whole tablespoon. We got a tablespoon of black pepper. You're saying, that's a lot. Yes, I know. But when I get done, I'll have like 3 meals here. So it'll work out quite well for me. You need 3/4 of a teaspoon of marjoram. Yeah, 3/4. Okay. Okay, and for summer savory, we need, put in a 1/2 teaspoon. because I am not going to break this one down. All right, yeah, so yeah, put in, wait a minute, a fourth, put in a half a teaspoon, yeah. Now, I put a lot of sage in mine because I'm very partial to it. Hi, Angie. Hi, Carol. Okay, next we're going to add ground ginger. Add 1/4 of ground ginger. Thank you, Devin. Okay. Now they want a pinch of clove. Now that depends upon your fingers. I'm sorry. I hate to say that. That sounds good, Alex. We're making breakfast sausage. So if you're going to use a pinch, if you've got big fingers like men, you're going to put more in. If you have little fingers, you're going to put less in. I'm just, because I can't get my finger in here, I'm just going to do it this way. Okay, that should do it. So if you can get your hands in, it just depends upon who's going to pinch it, you know. That's funny because when my husband pinched, he used 3 fingers. He came up with a lot. When I pinched, I got a little bit. And he said, well, put more pinches in, Sandy. I said, all right, you need a pinch of red pepper flakes. Okay. Kinsley, I am making breakfast sausage, about 3 pounds of it, okay? Yeah, that's about a pinch. That'll do it. And where is the sage? Oh, yeah. Now, here's where I'm going to add a lot of sage because I'm very partial to breakfast sausages. If you don't like breakfast sausage, I'd say your head needs to be examined. This is a personal opinion. Okay, whoever Linda is. So this would be 3/4. 1, 2, almost, put in a tablespoon sage leaves because we're probably going to add a lot more before it's over with. Like I said, I add a lot of sage because you want to smell the sage. And then on top of it, I'm going to put in ground sage because I really want this flavor to come out. If I can't get the flavor of sage in this, I'm not going to be happy. All right, so you have to use your nose on this one. But you're going to put a lot of sage in. They say just a little, but I'm making a lot. So I'll mix this up, see how it smells, and we'll take it from there. Those are the seasonings to make breakfast sausage. Please, hers, please. Amen. Please. Okay. Whatever. I don't know who's talking to who. Now, I'm going to be pouring a lot more sage in this because I really like the flavor of sage. And I don't want the other seasons to take over on it because it is breakfast sausage, which is sage. You can smell it. We're not done putting ingredients in. I'm just trying to get the smell of sage. Hi, Carol. I told you, I use my nose on this one. I'll have to get another bottle of sage. That's the only seasoning that I say it needs to have extra sage. There's not that much sage in it, and I said, no, you need more sage than that. Because you don't want to smell all the other ones. Roland, I am glad you joined too. I know you're watching me pour a lot of sage in this. I know I usually do. But these are old cookbooks. They have these old. These are old recipes. Like I said, when I was a little girl, we didn't buy sage sausage. We had to buy the ground pork, and my mother would have to mix it together for us to have breakfast sausages. It didn't come in a casing. We actually patted them out into little patties. Don't worry, I'll clean it. All right, next we're going to add to this, which I know you're not going to believe, is we are going to add 4, 5, 6 tablespoons of water. Cold water to this, and you're going to work it in. And don't worry, I always clean my jars and stuff off. Water does a lot of good things. Now you work all this in together. Sage is a lovely flavor. Plopping, but I'm coming around, okay. Sage has a beautiful smell on it. Of course, some people do use it to cleanse their homes. I know about that too. But the breakfast sausage, the strongest smell you have is actually the sage. The other ones are slightly under it. That's why I use a lot of it. Now it smells great. And I'm going to divide this up. Now, when we used to make it, my mother would take it and she would do this. She'd roll it and she would pat them out into little patties because she'd make it fresh and then we'd do it. And we'd have patties of sage instead of the sage sausage. You know, we used to have it like this. But I'm going to get my scale out. I'm going to weigh this out. Well, I might not weigh it out. I might just sit there and make 3 bunches and I'll roll them up and pack them. Now, you say, why don't I put them in casings? Because I don't know how to do that yet. You'll enjoy it. Yes, this is sage sausage. It's made with pork. If you have a good butcher and he just grounds up pork for you, you don't have to. But if you don't have somebody to do that for you, you would have to use 1.5 pounds. Well, I doubled the recipe, but you need 1.5 pounds of pork butt to 8 ounces of pork fat back trimmed of the rind. If you're doing it that way, you don't have a butcher who's really nice and does this for you. So, anybody? Do you know where your church is? The body. That's where you meet Christ. See? Now I made a nice big amount. And I'm going to divide it up and pack it up. First, I got to clean my mess up. Like you said, you have got meat all over. Yes, I do. Now this is, I got to leave this bottle out so I remember to buy it. So this bottle's going to sit out in my kitchen so I can remember. Write it down. And this bottle that you're so concerned about, just take that off. And wipe it down and it'll be fine. I didn't put my hand inside the jar. It was only on the outside. Last time I really went to church was a very long time ago. My anger for the church was when I found out how political it was, and it's not supposed to be political. What am I haven't put the trash together yet. I was very angry with what they had done. We had a father, and the father started telling the people who had the most money at the church about sins and some of the things that they did, and they decided to get rid of him because they wanted to control what he preached to the congregation. And when I heard that, and they got this other minister, and he came by and he was trying to tell us, oh, shut the fuck up. Just get out. He said, you need God. I need a hole in the head. I said, no, you're political. You're going to say what they want. You're not going to preach the word that you need to hear. They're going to preach what they tell you to. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that. I thought a minister was supposed to, in my naive days of preaching what we had to hear, to keep the, as they say, the sheep straight. Well, I found out it was very hypocritical, and I wasn't happy about it. So I said, well, I can pray to God at home, and I can pray because they say Anglicans, we pray wherever we're at. Hello, Lily. Hi, Mary. So, okay, Lily. And that's why I left the church. At least going to church. But I have my Bible, and I have God, and Anglicans are taught that we can we meet God in here, and this is where we pray, and that we can pray anywhere. You don't have to go to church to find Him. And so I said, good, I don't have to go to church. I'm not going to church. Okay, see, all clean, and you were worried about the rawness of it. All right, I have to get paper, wax paper, freezer wrap. Okay, where's my freezer wrap? Is this it? Yeah. Now, the best thing to wrap your meat up in is freezer wrap. Mark it and date it because this is pork. And like I said, it's breakfast sausage. So, okay. You really don't have to see me do this part if you want to. Now I have to go into another room and get some paper tape. If my sons did not take it, or I'll have to tie this up. I'll be right back. So this is how you make your breakfast sausage. Oh my goodness, if that's what you wish to think, then by all means, do think what you want. Aaron, I know Christ is the way, but I also know a lot of people preach and don't believe or live what they say. Yeah, I know that. Okay. I'm dividing the pork up right now. All right, we need to take some from here. Yeah. And some from here. That's one. You can make a lot. I've thought about making English muffins. I've thought about making some English muffins, plain sourdough English muffins. Making these sausages into patties and putting eggs on them and having that for breakfast. That's what got me to buying this. How old am I? I'm going to be 73 very shortly. I'm 72 right now. And this is what we used to do. I still do. People say, how can you do this? Because I've done it all my life. That's one I'm down. The only thing I have to do is date it and write what it is and how much it is, and then you have it. Carol, no, I said I'm going to be 73 in about 6 weeks. What do you mean, do I ship? Everybody had to learn these skills. It was nothing new. If you talk to people my age or older, they'll say, yeah. Especially if they came from a small town, they'll say, yeah, we had to do this. Once I learn how to do casings, I'm going to sit there and I'll pack them up in casings because I want to make my own Italian sausage. Because the filling they put into it, there's a filling in it. I can taste it, but I don't know what the filling is. My taste buds are getting pretty sensitive about things now. And I just want to get away from the fillings and stuff they put in. That's what I'm working on. You got to write that again, Danielle. Thank you. No, I don't. I don't have the equipment for that or anything else. I have to be very honest. You need special equipment. You need to freeze it and everything else. No. So that's what I was thinking about. It'd be nice to have the sandwiches. Most people think breakfast sausage is just for that. Believe me, there's other things you can do with it. You just have to have a bit of imagination and take off and have fun. Like I go to the supermarkets and they control a lot of what you get, which makes it difficult. So we just date it and that's it. Now this, how long will this last? Months in the freezer. No, this is not, this has to be frozen. You defrost it, you know, as you need it. This is not stable. Right now, I'm trying to make regular yeast, not sourdough. I checked it this morning, but it's so cold. It's just not budging. It's starting to smell like grapes, so maybe I'm on the road. It's just going to take me longer because the weather's cold. Okay. Carol, you're not okay? What's wrong? Yes, it is. I've used it all my life, so I couldn't sit there. I always like using freezer wrap. We called it freezer wrap instead of freezer paper, but now they've changed the name. Yeah, we've always used it. Thank you, brother. We just finished making breakfast sausage. I have to get the marker and mark these. Women used to have giant freezers, not the kind that we have today. Okay, go ahead, McDonald's if you want. All right, so you just write out what you have here. This is 1 pound. What's the date today, guys? Come on. I know we're in January. What is it, the 16th, 17th? Yes, I do, Rolling. I cook with a lot of them. Mushrooms. 18th, thank you. I couldn't remember. I went blank. I can't even believe we're in 26 now. But I figured I'd show you guys how breakfast sausage is made. It's not always in casings like people think. That wasn't how it was done. You had to buy it and you had to make it. You always put what it is, how many pounds or the weight of it, and the date. Then you know. Most meat will last up to a year in the freezer. You can do pork chops in the oven if you wish, but you have to be careful that they don't dry out. 1, 18, 26. That's it. Now you know how to do it. And these will last a whole year, so you don't even have to worry about them, which makes it easy. Adrian, I'm so glad I could help you. It's 3:30 here right now. Hi, Brian from Kansas. Yeah. They don't want it to be, they always say use it within a year. Breads, I've put in the freezer, they have a shorter lifespan. Butter has a longer lifespan. If you have fish, I think it's only 3 months for fish, if I remember correctly. Frozen juices and stuff they all have a time limit of how long they can be frozen. Most of the time, there's nothing left after a year in the freezer. We used everything. Some of this I don't understand. Anyway, so now you know that you can freeze, and I wouldn't do it in the bags unless it's a short freeze. This is probably going to be a long term because I'm not going to eat all this in 1 week. I have heard of that, but usually we ate the fish within a week. I don't keep it real long. You're welcome, Lori. Hello, I love the way the first name, it's on this one. Amy, that's very nice. Thank you for joining very, very much. Let me put these in the freezer now. Now, if you freeze organ meats, when you wrap it in freezer wrap like this, you don't have to worry about burns getting on it. You're welcome, Lori. Thank you. It's, what was I some meats, you can't really freeze them in the packages you buy at the store. The Ziploc air can still get in and stuff, but you get a lot of freezer burns. If the package gets opened, you'll see the freezer burns. If you notice how I overlapped and rolled, this way you protect the meat and it does freeze. This is why we use freezer wrap. I've always used it. Rolling. Okay, I'm glad you subscribed. But this is how it goes with it. This is why I use freezer paper, and I'm going to have to put that on my shopping list too with the sage. Because I'm out of sage and I'm out of that. But anyway, now you know how to make breakfast sausages. If I ever learn to work a casing and have an area where I can put the equipment and hook it up to, I'll show you how we stuff them. But I can't do that. Mammy, hi. I use some vacuum sealing on my dried fruits and stuff that I dehydrated. Right now I'm dehydrating orange peels. I do have that. I use ShopRite right now. We used to have a general store when I was growing up, and it was just called the General Grocery Store. I'm sorry, that was the only name they had. I used to shop at A&P and loved A&P very, very much. It had everything in it. I mean, it was just the greatest thing. I mean, when you went there, it was international, you know? And I liked to shop at Baladucci's, but Baladucci finally died. I grew up in Texas. What part of Texas are you, Private? I grew up in Beeville. That's the southern. If you draw lines together from Houston, San Antonio, In Corpus, you should go a little south, east, and Beeville's right there. Thank you, Lori. So that in that aspect, I have used that. I use my pressure cooker, my pressure canner. I have a sealer as well, vacuum seal, and I use the freezer wrap for the meat and stuff. Been to Houston many a time. Yeah, my father, when my parents got a divorce, my father went to Houston. My brother's down in Texas right now. My older brother, my younger brother is upstate, and I'm here. What part of Houston are you in? Because my older brother and his friend, these are people I grew up with, are all in that area. Oh, got quiet. Okay, well, I guess that's it. All right, I answered as many questions as I can. Listen, I want you to... No, you cannot, Rolling. East Adelaide. That sounds so familiar. I'm going to tell you, it really sounds very familiar. Adeline, or Adeline, or Adine, if you wish, but it sounds very familiar. God, it does. Okay, I can't remember offhand. It's been a long time. You're welcome. Why would my house be haunted? Because you see the cross over the door? I have crosses in each room. But it just makes me feel comfortable. Why, Sky? Why are you asking that question? Now I'm curious. Why did you ask me that question? I'm going to wait for that, Sky. If you're coming up with that kind of question, is your house haunted? I want to know why you would think that. It is. In between the cats giving me a problem and everything else, yeah. But it's a home. It's noisy. It's quiet. It's quiet right now. I'm the only one in the house right now. All right. Hi, Kirk. Sky just looks like an older house. Oh, yeah, this house is very old. When America was becoming a country, this house was standing. It's a very old home. And that's why my husband and I liked it, because it's so old. One of the fireplaces has acorns on it. And when somebody came, he said, that's the age of your house's acorn is when we were becoming a country. I have a paper that says it was, what is it? When they marked the land and stuff, was in 1845. But it is a very old home. Matter of fact, this room, when I was working on it with my contractor, we found wallpaper that told us it was a bedroom, and the wallpaper gave the time away as well. So it was really interesting as we find out. And that's how we learned about this house, actually, when we were working and cleaning it up. Cleaning my jars off so I can put them up, because somebody said, you got raw meat on that. Yes, I did. So, okay. Sky, you live in upstate New York? Good. That's right. By the way, do you know that there were more white slaves than dark slaves? And there's some slaves still to this day. You would believe at this time it wouldn't be. Some countries, even to this day, still have slaves. And I had heard about the Underground Railroad when we were studying history. Okay. That's true. My father used to take us to small parks off the free highway. We called them highways. We didn't have freeways. It was just 2 lanes. And we would go and picnic in areas. These were off roads that you turned off, dirt roads and stuff. And you could see where they were fighting. And my father would dig out the bullets from the trees. You could see where it was there, and you dig them out. Another thing is that my father had a gun from a rifle, not a gun, a rifle from one of the people who rode with Pancho Villa. And when I was little, if you went camping, you had to be careful because you had bandoleros that would come up on you and kill you. Sandra, you've got to fix that trash first. Yeah, part of my life. As a matter of fact, at the time I grew up, you could have a rifle in the back of a pickup truck. On the back, they had the racks where they'd have their hunting rifles there, and a pickup truck, and the police officer, and nobody was afraid. Guns were such a natural part of our life. I mean, my father had a gun. Oh God, I am lucky my brother did not kill my little brother and I. I'm the only girl, so I have an older brother and a younger brother. Jimmy, Mommy and Daddy went to Refugio to go have dinner, and they told us we had already eaten and we were cleaned up for bed and all. And she said, James, you are responsible. He was just learning the responsibilities of having watched Gino and I. And when they left, James went, shh. What, James? He said, come on, I want you to come show you something. He went, and we were never allowed in Mommy and Daddy's room. Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about, Lori. You're just a couple of years younger than I am. And we were never allowed into my parents' room. Never. We had to knock at the door. This is how I was raised. So I was always very uncomfortable having people come into my room. My sons, I said, get out. It's just the way I was raised. And Jimmy said, come on. I said, what? Gino, what are you doing? So Jimmy reached in on my father's side, between the box spring and the mattress. And you know what he found? A gun. Well, we said a gun, but I know it's now a pistol. And we decided to play cowboys and Indians. Gino and I were the Indians, and James was the cowboy. So he ran around the house pointing the gun at us and going, you know how children go, pow, 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 you know? We could have died. Well, the thing is when we played with it, but James wasn't strong enough to pull the trigger. Okay, thank God, or I would have been dead. And he put the gun back, the rifle back. But see, my father had it with the handle, so when he reached in, if somebody broke into the house, he'd just reach in, his hand would be on the handle, he pulled it out, and it was armed and ready to go. It was armed, and we didn't have safeties on those guns at that time. So that's why I'm saying, by the grace of God, Gino and I did not get killed. Well, by the time they came home, we were all in bed sleeping, and I guess Daddy went to clean the pistol later on. And what happened was he noticed the gun was not in the position that he had it. It was actually pointing out because James had pushed it in holding the barrel and pushed it back under instead of the handle. So my father, need I tell you more? Well, after we all got whipped, what happened is we learned safety of guns. We could quote the rules and the safety of guns, made sure that we knew about guns inside out. Okay, we knew our guns rules and the safety mechanisms and everything that you're supposed to do. Never point it, never do this or anything else. Well, months later, we've been watching swashbuckler pirate movies, ta-da, with a knife and all. Well, my mother always kept very sharp knives in the house. Every week, my father would have to sharpen them. My mother had big knives, short knives. She had all kinds. You think I have knives? My mother had a ton of knives for every kind of job you could do in the kitchen. And we were drying them. Gino and I dried dishes. James was washing them. So, I know. Don't point a toy gun at someone else. Yeah, well, we did. Toy guns weren't like real guns. They didn't look like them. You could tell the colors. They were yellow and stuff, so you knew they were toy guns. But the thing was, is Gino and I decided we were going to be like the pirates. Ta-da! So we're drying knives now. And these knives are very, very sharp. And we're going back and forth, and we're going, ah! We could have killed each other. And we actually were using the knives like we were really fighting. And James said, "Don't cut me!" James yelled. Well, Mommy came in and screamed because she saw me lunge towards Gino. And Gino had just done this and had just missed it. And my father came in. Well, first we got whipped by Mommy. All three of us. Even James got whipped because, James, you knew better and you allowed them to do that. Oh, and then what happened was we were all sitting down on the couch crying, and my father said, "What did we teach you?" We quoted every rule for guns, but he didn't say anything about knives. We told him, "We don't know anything about knives. You taught us about guns." So we had to go through a whole lecture on safety and knives and what we're supposed to do. So that's how I'm lucky I didn't get shot and my little brother didn't get stabbed. Okay, so that's some of the things. But we were grown, we grew up, we got punished a lot. And it was to keep us straight and keep us orderly till we learned to take. Clopping? I don't even know what that is. It's just like James and I were playing with matches. Mommy lights matches all the time for her cigarettes and the stove. So James, my older brother, and I, Jimmy and I, went out. No, it's summer and the grass is dry. We're out there trying to strike a match. We're going to be like the cowboys. We got dirt and we packed it around and we were going to sit there. Yeah, Laurie, the punishments really help. Oh, we drank water from the hose, the faucets, wherever we could get it. We weren't very particular. We drank it. We were children. And we were out there and we were gonna be real cowboys. We get the toy hats and stuff. Yeah, I'm a girl. I'm supposed to. Well, anyway, we were cowboys. I was going to be a cowboy too. And we were trying to light that match and we couldn't get it lit. Next thing we knew is my mother came behind us and hit us both on our backs. And she said, "What are you trying to do?" "We want to be cowboys." "Oh, no, you're not going to be cowboys." And that was it. She took the matches from us and told them we learned about fire. Don't play with matches. So it was don't play with guns, don't play with matches, and don't play with knives. So we learned the three basic rules. We were wondering if there was anything else that we were not supposed to play with. So we were more asking questions because we didn't want to get in trouble anymore. So listen, y'all, you hear that? That's my Southern Texan way coming out. Y'all take care. Have a lovely, we'll be in evening in a few minutes. Enjoy your evening. And I want to make those muffins, but I also want to try it with scones. If the weather's nice, I'll do a live and make those. I don't know how it's going to go, so we're just going to have to wait and see. Okay? But do take care, all of you, and be safe. Okay? Bye-bye.